Well, that was fast. Here comes our very first movie inspired by The Fault in Our Stars. You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of If I Stay.
Here's the secret, baby. If you live, if you die, it's all up to you.
I'll be the one.
How can I stay without Mom and Dad? How can I leave without Adam? How am I supposed to decide this?
This to be over!
Say something.
Life is this big, fat, gigantic mess. That's the beauty of it, too, you know?
Please, I just want to feel you touch me.
I'm not dumb enough to think that I can fix what happened.
You can't.
But I'll do anything. I can't lose you.
I know, Gayle Forman's novel came out before John Green's, but you can bet that Warner Brothers is hoping to duplicate Fox's success earlier this summer, when the studio discovered a brand new trend in young adult book adaptations. Yes, we've had the goth romance, the dystopian future, and now the weepy. But Fox is crying tears of joy. The Fault in Our Stars, made for just $12 million, has gone on to gross $266 million worldwide, almost matching Shailene Woodley's dystopian Divergent, which cost $85 million to make. But Chloe Moretz doesn't have box office numbers anywhere near that high. The biggest movie on her resume is Dark Shadows, but she only had a small supporting role there. Hugo is next, and while the Kick-Ass movies were a cult hit that made Moretz's hit girl an instant pop culture icon, both entries failed to break even $100 million worldwide. And after Carrie was equally unimpressive box office-wise, Moretz desperately needs to catch up with Woodley and Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, does she want to have to go sit with Dakota Fanning and Emily Browning, who were both up for this role as well? But beyond Moretz and Woodley, can Jamie Blackley compete with Ansel Elgort as a teen heartthrob? Elgort did make quite the impression. Behind the camera, experienced documentary filmmaker and television producer-director R.J. Cutler makes his feature debut. But will he go all Paul Greengrass or CW?
For some reason, whenever I see Chloe Moretz in a trailer, she just isn't appealing. But then when I go and see the actual movie, I'm like, nice job, Moretz. And that might be what's hurting her overall box office. She just can't break through in that trailer and get you to go and buy a ticket to see her movie, which is a shame, because as I said, she does a very nice job. But the entire cast here does a very nice job. I was really impressed across the board. Outside of Moretz, there's Jamie Blackley, who plays her boyfriend Adam. He's supposed to be the whole package. A fantastic boyfriend, a future rock star, but flawed, damaged. He has his problems. And Jamie Blackley played that to a T. He seemed very real. Everything here seemed real. I thought the parents were very real. Mireille, Enos, and Joshua Leonard were fantastic as the parents. They weren't just these stiffs that Mia had no relationship with. They were a part of her life, as parents are. Particularly, I think, today with the baby boom generation becoming parents. That's something that's discussed a lot. They are a part of their children's lives. Flaws and all. It's not perfect, but it works, and there's a lot of love there. You could really feel the love in this movie at every level. The boyfriend-girlfriend love, the brother-sister love, the actor who played her younger brother, Jacob Davies, he was excellent, and the love between Mia and her parents. That was all there. So I found it very confusing that the movie and Mia really only focused on the boyfriend-girlfriend love, which I thought was so disrespectful of the family love. And that's why I just couldn't get into this movie. Now, I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment, but I have to give you a warning. This is a very sad movie, and a lot of people were crying. I was crying. Everyone was crying towards the end. And when I left, I heard a number of people say, well, actually apologize to those they were with, saying, I'm so sorry. This was the only movie playing right now, or I thought you would like this movie. I had no idea it would be this sad. So, if you're going to see it, just be aware what you're getting yourself into. Very, very sad. But also, somewhat unsympathetic towards the end. I said, everybody was very likable, but the way the movie progressed was unlikable, because it had this tunnel vision on this boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Now, I understand when anyone falls in love, guy or girl, it's all consuming. It's so exciting to discover someone new who you hope might be a part of your life forever, who might change everything and brings you so much joy and heartache, of course. And that's why, you find yourself in this whirlwind, in this, as I said, tunnel vision, this bubble. But when you find yourself thrust into a life and death situation, to remain in that tunnel, to remain in that bubble, just seems very selfish. And I guess you could say she's a teenager. That's fine. But the filmmakers here aren't teenagers, and they also only focused on the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Now, I haven't read the novel here. I know it's very, very popular, so I'd be curious as to whether or not this is a problem or not. Well, you might not see it as a problem if you enjoyed the original book, but I'm curious as if this is the same message and perspective that's seen in the book, because I find it hard to believe it would be so popular if that's the way it is. And I guess if it is, I would like to just point out to everybody, it's great to fall in love, and I hope that you do. But don't forget about the rest of the people in your life who have been there before that and will probably be there once you fall out of love. Those people are so important, and don't just cast them aside assuming they'll always be there. Now, of course, this movie points out they might not always be there, but that was another thing that that annoyed me. It almost as if the message of the film was, when you find that special someone, you're going to move on to the next stage of your life so completely that the rest of your family from your past might as well be dead, because you're not going to be talking to them anyway. I couldn't understand why her parents and her brother weren't also having an out-of-body experience, and I couldn't understand why when she was flashing back to deciding what to do, she only thought of her relationship with Adam and her relationship with her music. I know she didn't totally fit in with her family, but to not really remember anything like that, I felt was very short-sighted, not only on her part as a character, but the film, because it made her character unlikable. As I said, started out very likable, but there was a point where she totally lost me, and I'll tell you that in a moment. But also I want to say Stacy Keach did a very nice job as well. But the other thing before I get into the spoiler territory that frustrated me is, it was a little thing, but when she got to the hospital, Mia for some reason seemed to think that maybe people could see her and had no understanding of what an out-of-body experience was. I was like, hey Mia, you can see your body there on the stretcher and you're standing next to it and no one else has noticed this. No one's like, hey, wait a minute, how can you be there and there? This is a miracle. Let's go call a bunch of people, the press, and a priest. But instead, she was totally being ignored, but yet she felt, hey, I'm just going to go talk to this person. And she was like, why is nobody talking back to me? I don't understand this. I would have been searching for the out-of-body versions of my loved ones. But, she was like, oh, there's Adam. I'm going to go see him, and I hope he's not too sad. It was just super, super frustrating. Okay, now this is a spoiler. What really lost me in the movie, where I was like, you know what, Mia, I'm done with you, and I don't really care what happens to you. When her younger brother died without her being there. She left her younger brother to the care of a family friend, wasn't trying to help him fight, help him pull him out. And I guess you could say, oh, hey, you know what? The embolism or wwhatever happened to him was going to happen anyway. There was nothing he could do. But she could have spent that extra time with him. Why wasn't he having out-of-body experience? She was also unconscious. It didn't make any sense to me. And the fact that he had to die alone while she was worrying about this guy who had dumped her, and they were fighting, and and her little brother was so young, and she missed that, even just being next to him. As you can see, I thought it was just so tragic and sad, and so selfish, and so unlikable, that at that point, I just checked out. So, but that's a personal thing for me. And so I realize a lot of people have enjoyed this book. So again, I'd love to hear in the comments where you think the book and the movie differ. And, was this a flaw in the book? And maybe it's one you didn't notice. And maybe it's one that you don't feel is a flaw. Maybe, you might feel it's a realistic depiction. But, for her not even to feel that guilt after it happened and that not to be explored was just... I really had a problem with that as well. It still boiled down to, oh, hey, I got into Juilliard and my boyfriend wants to get back together with me. Okay, I'll stay. Bye, family. And I was just like, wow, bye, Mia. So that was my problem with the film. That's my review of If I Stay. If you've seen it again, as I said, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into my review, and you can check out some more episodes right now.